Welcome to Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Silent Hill Short Message. So the first thing I'm going to say is this review is going to touch on some of the topics in the game, and this game addresses some very heavy topics, from bullying to suicide, etc. So let's get into the story. So you play as Anita. She has gone to this building, which is kind of known as a suicide spot, and one of her friends recently committed suicide there. And as you explore, as you find out what's going on, you kind of find out that this friend that she really idolized wasn't doing great. There was definitely a lot of bullying going on, and even her best friend was going through her own thing. And it's kind of one of the points of this game is that you don't necessarily ever know what anyone's going through, and you don't know what could push someone to that point. And while I think messages like that are extremely valuable in this game, you know, going into it, charging into it as it does, I think that's beneficial. I think the way the game does it is not amazing because they just lack any and all subtlety. The message is just being slammed into your face like a baseball bat. But I do think addressing topics like suicide, like bullying, whether it's cyber or in person, and the other things that they address are all very important. But another issue with it is that they just jam so much into this that, again, it loses some of that subtlety, which is unfortunate because it's an important topic, and I think the concept of the story is really good and the idea at its center is well done. But with them jamming everything they possibly could into it and just smashing you in the face with the message, it feels more like this could have been like a really awesome hour-long like animated feature to get that story across. But I also want to say that I get by giving every single character their own trauma and shit that they're dealing with, they're trying to send the message that you never know what someone's dealing with. But again, by overstuffing it and giving everybody trauma, when you learn that person's problem or drama, it quickly gets lost because you move on to the next one so rapidly because it's such a short experience, which I think sadly does a disservice to what they're trying to do. But then let's get into the audio, and the first thing I'm going to say is the voiceover work is not phenomenal. It's not necessarily the worst I've ever heard, but it's definitely not doing some of these subjects justice, or Anita's reaction to these subjects justice. That being said, though, the script itself is also not amazing. Some of these lines, it's not just the delivery. When you read it and you say it to yourself out loud, you're sitting there going, that doesn't sound vaguely natural. But going beyond that, I will say sound effects, I thought they did a great job with, because this is obviously a Silent Hill thing, and therefore horror, therefore good sound effects are very important, and I think they did a very good job with those. I also think the music was very well done in this game. I think it fits Silent Hill very well and helps add to that spooky environment and vibe. Let's get into the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, and this is a horror game. It's the run, hide, or die style of horror game, which is my least favorite kind of horror game. Fortunately, it is mercifully short, which, I mean, it being free, that's awesome. And it's about 2 hours long, but the reason I'm also not going to bitch too heavily about the run, hide, or die elements is because for the majority of the game, that works well. It's like 90 to 95% like exploration, trying to find out what happened, what's going on, trying to find out about the characters. There are essentially a couple of boss encounters, and the first two work very well. It's the third one at the end that was a huge pain in the ass, and I did not enjoy it. Because you're running around an area with an enemy chasing you, and a lot of it can start to look very similar, so you can start to get turned around, and it becomes a pain in the ass trying to collect the items you need to collect to progress. But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot in the gameplay of this, which is, you know, unfortunate. I wish there was more to it. Even some way to just kind of stall the enemy, distract them, something. Admittedly, it's still like a 2-hour experience, so them going overly in depth with the gameplay would be kind of odd. Let's get on to the controls, and I have zero complaints with the controls. I think the controls in this game are awesome, and they worked very well. Let's get into the graphics and visuals, and it was better than I was expecting, which I know is kind of me shitting on it because it's not great looking, but it was far better than I was expecting from a 12 gig download for a like just suddenly dropped 2-hour Silent Hill experience. They do this weird thing where there's this like mashup, not quite mashup. When you're doing gameplay and anything taking place in that building during the current time is all, you know, computer rendered stuff. But some of the memories are like live action and they're kind of awkward and they're like voiced over and it seems weird. But they put some filters on it. They put some cool effects in there that kind of feed into the whole Silent Hill-ness of those live action things, which I thought was a cool idea and visually well executed. Which, let's speak about the building. That building is creepy as fuck even before the weird Silent Hill shit starts to kick off. Which, if this is a Silent Hill game and Silent Hill shit doesn't kick off, then that would be super strange. There's only one creature in the whole game, and I thought they did a good job with that design. It felt very well tied to the story. Not quite as Silent Hill as you'd be expecting for the design, but I think it's close enough. And then when shit goes full Silent Hill mode, a lot of creepy imagery starts popping up that really fits into the story once again. And overall, I just think, from a visual standpoint, I think that's probably the thing they did best. Which is going to lead into the wrap up, and what I'm going to say is, had they released this as something not Silent Hill, I would have liked it more. Silent Hill is not a game that is known for spelling everything out for you. It is known for not necessarily subtlety in its imagery, but it doesn't just beat you in the face immediately with the concepts. And while I love this game drawing attention to the topics that it is drawing attention to, I don't think it needed to be a game, and I don't think it quite nailed the Silent Hill vibe. So I'm gonna give it a thumbs up as something that people should check out based on the messages and whatnot, despite the lack of subtlety, because I think having a message is a good thing, but when that message is more important than a good story, a good script, etc., that's kind of gross to me, especially when you're making something that is for entertainment rather than, you know, to be informative. But back to it, it's important for that, for the messages and whatnot, but as a Silent Hill game, it kind of drops the ball. Okay, in the comments down below, why don't you tell me, have you played Short Message, and what did you think? As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share and subscribe. Have a good one.